G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's great to be back for another week. If you have been listening in through the week, you know it is the week of the Hobart and we've been doing lots of updates and having lots of discussions about the race, and so far Bossy and I have been just nailing every prediction. We're on fire. So let's get our co-hosts in for this. Let's get in Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, Exalted One.
BP, where are you?
Where are you, BP?
I think he's missing in action. I saw he arrived at about 9 last night. So, as predicted, we won't be hearing from him for at least 36 hours.
We have not heard a word from BP. It's hilarious. All right, and obviously you can hear Nick Bice is here.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Yep, big day. Day 3 of the Hobart. The winners are about to be announced. The Line Honours trophy was handed out yesterday, and there's a little controversy as well. So
we've got a lot to talk about. And happy to be talking about it. Good effort from BP's team, by the way. We should actually mention that. They're currently sitting in third. There's a little asterisk against their name, so we'll bring that up. And we would have been congratulating BP at this stage, but we'll leave that for now. Obviously, we are at the end of the decade, Bice. I don't know if you've worked that out. End of the decade, or if you're a mathematician, you'll probably say there's one more year to go. But for all the regular punters, we're all right. We've got a special guest that's going to join us. You can hear by the sound in the background. We've got Will Oxley joining us as our special guest. So Will is a bit of a legend in the sailing circles. Where we wanted to get Will on board as navigator of Ichi Ban. Looks like the boat that is going to be the overall winner of the Sydney Hobart. So Will, welcome to Bar Karate, mate.
Yeah, look, thanks very much. I guess the first thing is that I can report that BP was seen alive, not necessarily well, but alive in Customs House at about 11:30 last night.
Good man. I'll do a quick resume for anyone that doesn't know. I think you're up to 17 Hobarts, been involved with the America's Cup and quite a few Volvos around the world stuff. So, and also navigator of a couple of really good author of a couple of really good navigation books. So Modern Race Navigation, Expedition Software in Action, and the Expedition Navigation Software, A Gentle Introduction, which is probably where I would start. So you are the man when it comes to navigation in the world. You're one of the top navigators in the world, Will.
Well, thanks for that. But there's plenty of people that have done a particularly good job on this race. Stan Honey, nonetheless, of course, did a great job on Comanche. And we're a small, relatively small group. So there were about 5 of us standing together in the Customs House last night. It's not very often we get together to stand around and have a beer and talk about racing, and Customs House is one of those places.
So when you get your little navigator mates together, you're pulling out your little iPads and just comparing notes and mathematical formulas, or what? How does it work?
It can be a little geeky at times, but the Customs House is not the place to pull out your iPad. We don't talk to those guys. But can you imagine Capey pulling out an iPad at 11:30 at night in Customs House?
I was just trying to picture who those 5 navigators are. And those 5 navigators don't mind a little drink or two, Will, including yourself, including Stan. And I think one of, just from my experience, actually knowing quite the majority of you guys, is the fact that you're not geeky. You're actually, you're a masters at your particular trade, but you're one of just a yachty as well. And that's, I think, where the success comes from.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, we are human. People make fun of us and our slippers, but we are still human.
You're just a little bit cleverer than the normal bunch. You top-level navigators. That's what I've worked out. You're just a little bit cleverer. You've got more going on than just telling stories in a bar. That's all I'll say.
It is pretty funny sometimes on board when I come up with a number and Gordon goes, "That's just a random number." I'm like, well, no, I actually have put a little bit of thought into saying that it's 15 minutes to a jibe. So it's pretty funny.
All right. Okay, so congratulations.
Hopefully, yeah, it's looking promising. I think mathematically it's still possible, but physically it's not, if you know what I mean. The boats, the S&S 34s need to go at warp speed to actually beat us at this point. So it's looking very promising.
Yeah, Nick and I are smart enough to do that calculation. We've been doing those calculations this morning, so we're pretty confident in saying congratulations.
Now, Will, just a quick one for you. This has probably topped off one of your best seasons ever sailing, right? I mean, you've pretty much won every race you've competed in this year. Is that true?
Yes, unfortunately, there's one glaring exception, which is the Middle Sea. But apart from that, it has been ridiculous, really. I've been very lucky to be on some very good projects with some very good teams that help make me look good.
And what a way to top it off with the 75th Hobart, sailing with a bunch of your mates. That must be you must be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, as an Australian, the Hobart is a highlight, and I've been sailing with Matt for a long time now, and he puts together a pretty good program. This is the third year with this boat. We know it very well. We're improving all the time, and we have a very strong crew all the way through the boat, and the afterguard is particularly strong. We've got youngster on strategy, Gordon doing the tactics, and then we've got Rob who provides an extra dimension to it, and of course Matt. So it's there. We have some interesting discussions, but we managed to come up with the right decision this race every time, and so it is a great pleasure to sail on the Ichi Ban program. We really did leave nothing to chance.
I mean, you put all those numbers together, you add up all the Hobart experience, you're pretty close to 100 right there. You got on board. So. Yeah, absolutely. You're well over 100. So, must have. And as far as the race goes, from what we saw, it was extremely tactical, albeit not the traditional southerly busters belting through or anything like that, but quite tactical nonetheless.
Yeah, sorry. It dropped out then. Someone tried to call me on my phone. Technology.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
No, we're just saying how the race, it was quite a tactical race, and you seemed to position yourself quite nicely the whole way through.
Yeah, thanks. For a bit of a behind-the-scenes look at it, the internet dropped out the first night. So that first transition, which was the most important transition, I ended up doing blind. So that was a bit more interesting than it needed to be. But I had done so much prep beforehand that I felt like I had a good view in my head of what it was going to look like, and we just sort of wiggled our way through, and that was really the race there. And then we came out, with the 60s and ahead of Wild Oats, as it turned out, and more importantly, ahead of all the 52s. So at that point, we knew if we could sail a smart race from there, and that Storm Bay didn't get us, we were going to be okay. But Storm Bay was, again, very, very tricky. It's a difficult part of the race. I think the last 4 years we've been leading at Tasman, and so it looks like after this race, hopefully we've managed to convert 50% of the time. But it's just the luck of the sport, really. Finishing up a river makes it tricky. We got the timing perfect just by luck this time, and came up across the line at doing 17 knots under the chute, which on sunset, which is really what you hope for, because you know it's going to shut down as it gets dark.
Yeah, sure. And I noticed across Storm Bay you were quite wide there. Was that a tactical decision, or just placing yourself between the other 52s and Iron Pot for that matter?
No, very, very tactical. There was no breeze. The change was coming through, and there was no breeze between Tasman and Cape Rao. And we had Maserati in front of us and a couple of the other 70s, and the high-resolution model suggested you just had to get offshore there to get any breeze. And so we managed to just sort of creep our way up to Maserati by staying south there. And then, of course, the other guys sailing very well, Guelo and Envy Scooters and Quest came around the corner and just pointed straight at the rail doing 8 knots. But we were already committed to being wide, and it still looked like rail was very light. And then after rail, there was a split. You either had to be in the south where there was a sort of south-southeasterly push coming from the south, or you had to be right on the north side, round Wedge Island and going north, and there was an east-southeasterly up there. And so there was a split breeze, and we wanted to go to the north, but we couldn't join the dots. And so we could see white water to the south, and we could see that the southerly was there, but we actually had to sail to it. And then we couldn't join the dots to get to the other breeze. So we went, well, we're committed here, and we could see a way whereby if we stayed on heading that way, west, eventually the breeze was going to wrap left and we could jibe and get in towards the pot. And luckily that's what happened. But then the other guys, having gone close to rail and parked up, were then able to play that other breeze on the other side. So it was, if we'd been conservative and said, well, we just need to cover and tried to go to the north, then we wouldn't have managed to win. So that was probably quite a big call in the race. We were quite nervous.
Right.
No, sure.
So you had
you stepped away, took the race out. Well, over Guelo at the moment for just over 30 minutes. They're on the same rating. That was obviously in the back of your mind a little bit. And then Envy was just a little bit shorter in the rating. So you would have been, the head was turned quite a bit, I would imagine.
Yeah, Envy Scooters, obviously Guelo, but let's talk about Envy Scooters first, because, of course, that's the old Ichi Ban. And as the Udall Frolic boat, it reaches very, very well. And so they were faster than us on that first day in the reaching conditions. They had a particularly nice new A3 that was just smoking us. And then luckily we managed to hang on, and then when we were able to get up a soft sail, we were able to then roll over the top of them. But they were always on our hammer. And I'm not sure. Occasionally it seems like Guelo's contracted out their tactics to Ichi Ban, but they
Oh, I think a seagull got his phone.
Yeah.
Thought it was a scallop pie. Here he is.
Yep. You're back. So just in the interim, sorry, mate, we got you back. So we just lost. The last thing we heard from you was the contracted out navigation. Okay. All right, boss. So whilst we're just going through that, so one of the things Matt Allen said when we did one of our updates was that that Derwent River was going to be critical, and we all knew that. But also that first night, which is that night where Wild Oats dropped back a little bit. I'm intrigued. To me, what I said in the lead up in one of our preview segments that we did is that it was really much about whether you were further inshore or further out to sea, and that's something I really wouldn't mind finding out from Will. I don't know. And then also the other thing I'm interested in, I don't know if you are, is the sort of work that he's doing ahead of the event. That's sort of, you've done a few of these, especially going around the world. Sounds like Will's back.
Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah. Oh, he's back.
Yeah. So what we lost you just as you said the contracted out navigation.
Yeah. So I'm saying it just a little bit, but if you're a boat, it used to work when we owed them time, but it doesn't work so well when the boats are even on rating. But Guelo sailed a particularly good race, and we were nervous most of the way to make sure we stayed in front of them, but we managed to do so, which was lucky.
So a combination of good sailing and good strategy. So clearly, we spoke to Matt before the event, and then we knew the Derwent was going to be critical, but we also knew that first night from the conversations we had with all the top boats was going to be critical. As an observer, just watching, I was just saying to Bicey, it looked to me like Wild Oats is a perfect example. They were the furthest inshore out of their group, and it looked like you suffered going too close to the shore on that first night. You guys were also a little bit offshore. Your TP, if you look at your TP or your 50-footer class, was that part of your plan, or is that just something I've imagined?
No, you haven't imagined. So let's call it a trough. The trough was a line sort of west-northwest, southeast. The perpendicular to it was probably 210. And so you could sail in pressure along the side of it, along the north side, because it was quite stationary for as long as you wanted, really. And then it was just a question of how to decide to cross it and when to do so. Oats, it looked, I'd love to hear the full story. It looked to me as if they decided to cross it, and I thought, that makes sense. And then they watched all the other boats still to the north with pressure, and then it looks like they then went, oh no, this is a bad idea, we'll go back. And so I think they ended up trying to cross it 3 times.
Oh, I see.
But whereas once you were committed, my thought was you actually then needed to cross the thing, because you only wanted to cross it once, and then there was going to be new pressure on the other side. So it's never quite like the picture of the grid file, but you could see some action in the clouds. There was a bit of a few convergence lines.
Yep.
So you could, and by looking at the AIS, you could kind of make a story of what was going on and what pressure people were in. And I think Comanche just saw that they could stay in pressure, and so they just stayed as long as possible and let it wash out a little bit, so that when they ended up crossing it, the transition wasn't as painful as it might have been.
Wow.
Maybe Wild Oats was actually trying to draw the track of the W for Wild Oats 10, 11.
I don't know. I've come in for a bit of grief from a couple of those blokes, because
Didn't they have...
You do the Green Cape report, and so I reported in at Green Cape, right at Green Cape, I might say. I didn't go early, and I came in before Wild Oats, and so they were not very happy about that.
Maybe they just won, because it wasn't on Oats, wasn't it? Juan Villa was the navigator?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe there was a language issue.
So Juan, no, well,
it's a joke.
It's not easy, all of that stuff, and we all get caught even trying to do the right thing. So you'll probably be able to get to the bottom of it.
Just listening to you, mate. You said you were looking at the grid files. You've got your expedition software. Then you're looking at the clouds, and you're looking at AIS. There's just. That's incredible. I think most people sitting at home who haven't navigated would have thought, oh, you're just plotting out on a chart, it's just for people to understand the length of a Grand Prix navigator, what they have to do is just quite incredible. Can you actually talk to us about, you said you did a lot of work before the start. You just explain what that entailed.
Yeah, so you run the routes every day in the week leading up, and you look at the different models and you watch how they're performing, and you watch whether things are happening more quickly or more slowly than the models are actually predicting, and then you end up with a picture in your mind of how the race is going to go and what are the key points, and so where you really need to be on your game. Where doesn't it matter? So basically when the boat's ripping and everyone's having a good time and the sailing's fantastic, that's when I have a rest. Yeah. When it gets tricky, and that's when you know that you need to have everything ready to go. And the other thing that is important now is that you need to be able to get good information. And so the cell phone range is probably out to about 30 miles. So if you're about to go out of cell phone range, you do a massive download of all the key bits of information you think you're going to need. Because it's much more expensive to download it on the sat phone.
Yeah.
And so you think about where you're going to be and when you're going to get those key bits of information that you're going to need to make those decisions.
Wow.
And so it was unfortunate that the sat phone went down, but because I'd done such a big data dump when I'd been in cell phone range, I was able to run with the old stuff and then, twist it here and reimagine it and come up with a plan to wiggle through. But what I didn't have was I didn't have the tracker, so I didn't know where the other boats were except for those that were on AIS. So that then becomes a bit of a disadvantage, but also a bit of a relief because you can just concentrate on trying to put your boat in the right spot.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
Wow. That very good, Will. And what's the now onto the most important stuff? Where are you going for lunch today?
Well, I think if you don't know the answer to that, you haven't been down here often enough.
Shipwright Arms or Customs House? Customs House, I'm guessing.
No, Shippies is the institution.
Customs last night.
Yeah. And I think we've got a table for 30. And most of the boats will be there. So it's quite a good event at the best of times. And if you manage to get the chocolates, it makes it a particularly good event. And so I don't think I'm speaking out of school if I say that it looks as if that then gives us the Blue Water Series as well, which Matt's two major goals for the year were the Blue Water Series and the Sydney to Hobart. And so he's pretty pleased on his 30th Hobart.
He's going to be happy.
Then let's not forget the next big feather in the cap where the Mighty Secret Men's might take you down, the Teakle Blue Water Classic.
Well, look, the Teakle Blue Water Classic was a fantastic event last year, and I took my bike and managed to do some riding in the national park, which was fantastic. However, there is a small problem in that it clashes with another small event that goes around a couple of islands in the Caribbean.
Correct.
On
600.
The Wizard. And so...
Oh, that's a good team. World Sailing Team of the Year.
Yeah, so I'm committed to Wizard for that. So that's... I try and balance. I did the Hobart with the Ichi, but the 600 with the Wizard. And we've got quite a big year planned. We've got the LA to Tahiti race where we will come up against the Pyewacket, which is the old Blackjack 70. So,
yes, correct.
That'll be really interesting.
You sound like you're going to have some fun. Actually, I don't know if you're aware. I'm sure you are, but you know that Bicey's brother-in-law's on the old Ichi Ban.
Well, that was going to be my next mention. Just keep an eye on Pato for me today, will you? We don't want to turn it.
I did know, but he's not on the old Ichi Ban. He's on the new Ichi Ban.
He's on your boat.
Yeah.
No. I don't want to turn. It doesn't need to become a family incident. He definitely doesn't need any encouragement from me.
Yeah. Frank the Tank.
Pato did a really solid job, as expected.
Yes. Oh dear. Just watch him because he's married to Bicey's sister, and the Bice women have to put up with
someone. I just couldn't remember who it was, Bicey. So now you've reminded me. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Well, you probably met Frank the Tank last night. You're about to meet him again this afternoon. So.
Oh dear.
Where are you, Bicey, at the moment?
Just got back to South Australia, as a matter of fact. And this is the exact time where you're just absolutely kicking yourself for not going to Hobart.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually a beautiful day. There's a nice breeze blowing up the river, and I can see some shoots, but I don't see any SNS 34s, so I'm still feeling fairly relaxed.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, copy that.
Yeah.
So you can tell Pato, I'll take the. I'll be attending his mother-in-law, my mother's 70th birthday today, so he can stay home next year, and I'll be doing Hobart.
I'll tell him. I don't know how he's going to go with that.
Yeah.
No. Well, put it this way: if we're both there, we may as well stay there for a month because it's not worth rushing home.
Really flat at it. You don't think she might like a trip to Hobart or something?
There you go. That's a nice thought.
Fantastic. Hey, Will. Well, hopefully I reckon by the time you're sitting down, and like you say, unless there's some sort of magic out there for an S&S 34, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they might make sense to make an announcement this afternoon, really.
Yeah, that was the latest news I heard, so I'm hoping they will for you.
What about one last question, actually, before we get rid of you? Obviously, you've got some good sailing going on. Have you been approached by any ocean race teams at this stage?
I've been waiting for that question.
Yeah.
I've been hearing the various responses from various people. My answer is I talk to lots of people all the time.
You guys are all the same.
And look, it's an interesting race. I've always had a passion for the Amoccas. I've done quite a bit of both double handing and 5 and 6 up on the boats in the past, and I would be interested in being involved. I just hope I want to make sure they've got the numbers to make it a good race, really.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
And I don't know. Back in the day, we used to have the crew would end up doing the media stuff. I'm not sure that I can justify carrying the weight of a media person all the way around on one of those boats. They're not very big.
No.
And so I worry a bit about how that's all going to work.
Well, the way technology is advancing, it'll only be 6-year-olds that can understand it. So you'll just have a fleet of 6-year-old media experts.
Yeah, but you can just fire it up and tell the 6-year-old to drive it from sitting in. It's like the American drone pilots.
Yeah.
They don't need to be in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I guess it's the interviews and the inside stories. Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. That'll be a debate for later on. Maybe we'll come back on that. Hey, so you're not saying you've got a team yet. You're not saying that you're sort of committed, but you want to. So that's so long as the race is good. That's what I've heard, basically.
Yeah. I haven't got a signed contract.
Yeah, copy. One more question from me, just on your other interests in life with the marine science stuff. Are you still involved with the Barrier Reef and that monitoring project or not?
No, I still have an interest in it, but I don't really have any time. I am on the World Sailing Sustainability Commission, and so I managed to keep an interest that way as well. I'm sort of the sailors' representative on that committee, but obviously as a scientist as well, I wear 2 hats. But I do follow quite closely what's going on the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, because you live up that way a bit too, don't you, from memory?
Yeah, Townsville.
Yeah.
Townsville.
Yeah,
Centre of the universe.
Centre of the universe.
Just second behind Port Lincoln.
I was just going to say, Bicey will say Port Lincoln in 1 second. You watch. And there it was. You idiots.
Yeah. All right, I can see the boys are packing up, so I'm under a bit of pressure.
Okay,
here.
mate. We appreciate you taking the time, and congratulations.
Thanks, Will. And send our best to everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Keep up the good work. I thought the Mark Bradford Squark interview was particularly good. So
Yes.
That's cool.
We need to do more face-to-face. So it's going well. We love it.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to say to your mother next year that you have to come down here for business.
Well, we definitely will be, because we've just been told by David Cawthorne, who I know listens, that he'll be pushing hard for bar karate lager to be served in both Shipwright Arms and Customs House next year.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, mate.
Great.
Boys.
Cheers, mate. Well done.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Oh, nice. He's a good man, isn't he?
Very good man.
He's a good
Very
man.
good man.
And congratulations. So, I mean, it's not official yet. It hasn't been announced, but we've run the numbers. And Will alluded to it. So we're 99.9% certain that.
So who we got there? Willie Smith's Philosopher. The time to beat. That is the next on the list to potentially take it out. I must admit, I don't know Willie Smith's Philosopher.
Tasmanian.
Yeah.
So what's he got? He's got, what are we on the time now? We're at 2 hours 23, so we're nearly 3 days. So we're 40 minutes short of 3 days, so 2 days, 23 hour. And he's got to get 3 days and 45 minutes. So he's got just over an hour to do 60 nautical miles.
And that's a Sydney. Yeah, Sydney 36s aren't bad, but not that good.
Not that good. So, look, this... the next one's already too late. Wallow. John Wallow's in with a shot. Ocean Crusaders. Here we go. So he's got 73 miles to go, and he's got probably 2 hours to do that. Now, Wallow could probably talk the boat around to the Constitution dock, but I don't know. I tell you what, when we do have the Barcarati beer on, when we get there next year, holy crap, watch out for Wallow. He'll have a few.
Watch out for Wallow. Watch out for Bice is what I'm saying. Bloody hell.
Actually, the one, so there's one with 10 hours time, and they've got to do 127 miles. No one's going to get there. No one's going to get there.
No. They should do the right thing and hand it out today.
Yeah,
that'd be the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And then... I've got two things.
Mm-hmm.
The protest between Envy Scooters and Quest.
Yeah, let's go into that.
So the male is basically a port starboard on the turning mark before exiting the heads, and that's being held at 3 p.m. today. So what's that, in 2.5 hours' time?
Yep.
Tasmania time. And that could if Envy get done on it, that could drop them off the podium.
Yeah. So what is the podium right now, mate? Just as we currently stand?
Currently stand, there's out of the 12 TPs, there's 10. No. We've got Ichi Ban obviously taking it out by a little over half an hour, 34 minutes over Guelo, with a couple of good mates on board that boat. Then we've got Envy Scooters, who is 20 minutes behind Guelo, and then Quest, which is a further hour and 10, 12 minutes behind Envy. So if Envy get knocked or get a time penalty or something, that's where it could just have a little turn the tables. And then, of course, we got in fifth Alive, the winner from last year, who've had a fantastic race.
Because they're not a TP.
Right, so that's a Rykel Pew 66.
Yeah.
Correct?
So and obviously being sailed really well.
Capey on board.
Hey? With who?
Capey.
Oh, yeah, Capey. Well, there you go. Obviously being sailed really well, that boat. So we should really give them a plug because, to finish in the top few overall and to actually have a win last year. So they're actually doing really, really well. So congratulations to them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And, they obviously picked the right pathway. Capey's fairly capable young man. And to split the TPs up is a big deal.
Absolutely. So, it's you look at the top of that list, though, and, it has kind of finished as you would like to see it finish, in the sense of boats that are well campaigned, boats that are well funded, which is great for IRC, and that's how the rule is written. Obviously, the TPs are a very well rated boat, and they're used very well. So I'm pretty happy to see the top 10 there, to tell you the honest truth, as far as professional sailing goes. Yeah. Of course, it's a different story when you start looking into a few of the other like PHS and the Grand Veterans and Corinthians and what have you, which is something which the Corinthian IRC is essentially all the amateurs. And there's some fantastic names there, like boats that have been around for a long time, and some pretty serious campaigners as well.
So the interesting thing there, if you actually quickly roll into that, everyone's finished in the top 10 except the 10th place boat currently on rating, which is Patriot, which is a Victorian boat. They've got 33 miles to go, and they're only doing 4 knots. The wind is going to freshen from the northeast. They've had a pretty slow and lumpy night. So there's been no real pace. But that boat should actually get a bit of pressure on. I'm just trying to work out what time they've got to get when they've got to finish by, but I can't quite work that one out yet. So, 3:10. They don't have a huge amount of leeway, actually. So, yeah, they're going to need... This is on their forecast modelling that they will probably finish... they got? So, just over 4 hours. Just on 3.5 hours. So, the modelling has them finishing in 3.5 hours, and then they would finish in 10th. The next boat, which is Zen, in 11th, is only 6 minutes behind. So, that's a tight one. And then, so they could drop down a little bit if they...
No, I'd say if they're coming up the Derwent now or this afternoon, they're going to have a following breeze, sea breeze. They'll go faster than the current predicted. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. So
now, how about on to the second topic?
Oh, yes.
Given MB Scooters is in a protest, I think, being the rules guru, maybe BP's got his head stuck into the blue book trying to see how...
It's not that hard. Port starboard, that's the fundamental rule, isn't it? Well,
the blue book or the green bottle?
The green bottle. BP. I'm not sure what case law you can dig out. If you're on starboard, you've got right of way on port. That's the basis of the whole thing. So you've got to complete your tack. I don't know. I actually don't know. Have you?
No, I haven't looked into it. I guess we're going to find out. It's all going to be, obviously there wasn't any contact.
Yeah.
But it's going to be essentially how much did they have to avoid if that is the question.
It's interesting
whether they needed to avoid, but let's stand by.
The owner of that boat, Barry Cuneo, is a guy that I would like to get on one day in Barcarena, because he's the Commodore at Royal Queensland. And he's one of those blokes, that whole family, their life is invested in sailing. I think his uncle was a gold medalist, and I used to race against, I don't know if it's his brother or his cousin or what, but I used to race against Cuneo's a bit. And but Barry provides a boat for the youth. So, like, he's put up a 40-footer or a 45-footer for the youth teams to go and do racing and sailing on. So and he's looking to help. He's always looking to help, and I just wanted to sort of mention that. I don't know him personally, but he's one of those blokes that gives back.
I mean, and that's a bit of a common theme in a lot of clubs around.
Yeah, exactly.
When these guys have the opportunity to do that, and especially on these very cool boats, the young kids coming up who are making the transition from dinghies into big boats, it's generally these guys who hold their hand out to take them on board. I definitely know some of the guys in Adelaide have done the exact same thing, and whether it is the Adelaide Lincoln or whether it's just a Windward Lord, but they generally reserve one or two spots for some young guys or girls to come on board and to help make that transition.
Yeah.
So it's nothing but praise for guys like that.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, our sport desperately needs people like that, so good on them for doing it. All right. Okay, well, we've sort of said there, if we go through our run sheet, boss, we've got a big hole in the middle because we're expecting BP to be here and and have a whole bunch of recordings. We were going to actually ask him of his view of the race and where they went and how it went for them. So, BP?
Shall we go to his next question?
Yeah. Was
who gets the watches? I think we've answered that one.
So who gets the watches? So of course you win the Rolex for the line honours and the overall rating. So that means Matt's got a couple of them.
That actually puts me on to my next theory where BP is, because our next question was how did they get them? Yeah. I think BP has smashed the Rolex cover, put them in his pocket, and now he's spending some time in the Hobart Hobart watch house.
In the watch house. Oh dear. Imagine that. So Matt won 2 years ago, and then he's clearly going to win this year. And now, just a personal question to you, Bossy. Would you put both watches on, one on each arm?
Oh, that's
Is that too ostentatious? Or one for the morning, one for the afternoon? One for day, one for night.
Yeah, I'd put one on 12-hour time, one on 24-hour time.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I think if I was part of the Ichi Ban crew, I would have laid a bet with Matt that if we win, he has to buy everyone Rolexes.
Well, he can do what he wants with his money, I suppose. But he's got a good crew there. Actually, it's a good team. It's good on him. It's a hard event. And that fleet is
run through the crew list. It's pretty hard to find a much better crew than that.
And it's a hard fleet too. Like right through that fleet, it's the one fleet where there's a lot of boats, so you really can't slack off in any way. No, so
absolutely.
What about surprises? Any surprises in the race, in the performances or poor performances?
Yeah. I think if we stick to that winners and losers theme, the Wild Oats would have to be disappointed in what we spoke to Will about for that first night, but they definitely came back with some heat on.
Yep.
They were obviously still quick.
Yep.
Still very quick. So they probably finished with smiles on their face for sure. So, it's a position they're not used to. But let's face it, that boat's getting pretty long in the tooth. Also, 2004 maybe.
Yep, I reckon.
The winner of the race for me was InfoTrack, as mentioned yesterday. Yep. That boat was built in 2007 at Cookson's. Actually, I was part of the project management team with that boat, with our friends from Dark Horse, being JH and Hendo and a few of the Kiwi guys. And we campaigned that boat pretty hard in the day when it was still called Speedboat. It's had a few names since then. But they are, in my eyes, the winner of the race in regards to a not unexpected positioning, but probably better than most people would have thought. So hats off to Bradshaw, Tony, and the full InfoTrack team. So for those guys.
Yeah, Nico.
Absolutely. Once again, you run through the list. The loser for me, Maserati.
Yep.
Fantastic Volvo 70. Should have probably gone better, but we did speak to Mark before the race, and they weren't a full professional crew. But it goes to show the difference what a full professional crew can do compared to Corinthian style crew or a crew of someone just wanting to go sailing with his mates.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, what about our dark horse tips? Have you looked to see how you went?
That's a negative.
Negatory. Let me tell you, punters, if you're listening to us and you want to place a bet based on our dark horse tips, just walk away. Ignore what we say. Bicey, Enchantress, John Willoughby's boat from South Australia, still has 115 nautical miles to go. It's currently sitting 75th overall on IRC. You're completely stuffed it, you kook.
On fire. And, all right, go ahead.
Abbott's Vamp, 25 miles to go. So mine's close to the finish. Currently lying 102nd on IRC.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we're on fire.
Stick to the booze and the funny shit, you blokes.
Oh, dear. I don't know why we do it. I don't know. Anyway. All right. Now, what we've planned for is all the interviews from last night. BP was going to do a whole bunch of interviews whilst sharing a quite friendly ale. And none of those have turned up. BP, he is alive, according to Will Oxley, but he'll be devastated missing out on this too. He will be devastated. All right, so let's roll through. We're probably going to do a little bit of a shorter version this week anyway because we've done so much. What about, have we got any news, like Secret Pro news or anything?
No, all my Secret Pros are either in the bar or they've been at sea.
Yep.
So
if they're still at sea, they're not that good a pro.
I'm expecting some Secret Pro news during the week. But as for now, speaking of which, as we had meant, can't remember if we mentioned on the podcast at all, but we'll try and grab at least one from each Supermaxi at one point in time and try and create a bit of banter. I know we've been big on this, the soft way of the banter back and forth, but what we should try and do is get a bit of banter back in the game.
Yes.
Get them all on and just leave them to it.
Yep.
Chief referee, J-Dog.
Yep. we definitely can do that. They kind of get up there and do the presses before the race and after the race. They'll all be up there, but there'll be no controversy. We will push it that way. They'll come on under the condition of controversy. We can put bags over their heads if they want to remain anonymous. We can really work it to make it work for them. But we don't want to hate or vitriol. We just want to have the humour.
We want a bit of fun.
The fun.
Actually, the way it would have been done, if we could do it with a few Barcarati lagers, just around round table.
That's it.
Just get the banter back into it.
Woody would be into it.
As we're saying, we're bringing sailing back putting the fun back into sailing.
That's it. Woody would be into it.
Oh, definitely. Speaking of the shark.
Yeah. It's explained to everyone what happened there because it was a close finish on the over the line for Scallies.
Coming into Tasman Island, 2.5 metre shark wrapped around the rudder, supposedly, which led to Scallywag having to drop the sails and do a back down, which, who knows, that may have been, they've definitely slowed the boat and it could have easily been a good 10, 15 minutes. So that may have been the difference between a third and a fourth position.
Yeah, well, if you look at the time difference, it was 38 seconds.
Yeah.
Over the line.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
So that would have been, there's a fair chance that was exactly what did happen. Then I'm wondering if we'll get anyone protesting about that damage to a shark. I'm not.
Yeah, I was going to say the greenies will be onto that.
Yeah. There are a lot. As someone that spends a lot of time at sea, there's a lot of sharks and a lot of whales out there these days. The numbers of whales have skyrocketed.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen, especially come the October-ish, August, September, October, up the east coast, there is a lot of whales.
Yeah.
A lot of, who knows? Yeah, but maybe it's not what we should be talking about too much.
No, let's move on from that. It's just dangerous. It's dangerous. There's things you just can't say anymore. Have you been inspired to buy a yacht this week from what you've seen?
Yeah, Comanche. No doubt.
Yeah. She's a cracker, isn't she? You just imagine as a cruising boat travelling across oceans to different islands and stuff. Oh, she would fly.
Well, you look at the just some of those photos, the amount of sail area they got up, the amount of rag they've got up, and they're just pressing on it and just going faster and faster.
Yeah. The loads going through that boat must be incredible.
Yeah. I'd hate to come back in life as an outhaul ram on Comanche, I tell you.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Around the grounds, we're sort of going to the end of this. I think there's a couple of events starting right now, Bitey.
Yes, there is.
On the run sheet, there's only one.
Especially in Australia.
That's it. So I'll give you the first one because I found the second one after I sent you the run sheet. So what's coming up?
Well, we got Sharpie Nationals, of course.
Sharpie Nationals. That's a good one.
In Western Australia, Mounts Bay.
That's it. They're all driving
Mounts Bay?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And you know what's right next to them?
With a big fleet.
Yep.
Actually. So, and if you're not part of the Sharpie Nationals, get down there and check them out. The longboats, they are a great boat to watch, and they're a great bunch on the land as well. So go down and enjoy that.
If you've never sailed a Sharpie too, you want to have a go. They're a good boat to sail. You can sail with 2 experienced and 1 beginner if you really want. If you want to learn, it's a great way to learn the Sharpies. They go fantastic in a blow. They just handle a blow so easily. And the fleet is just chock-a-block full of great blokes and women who just enjoying life. They sail them fast, they sail them hard. And it's a pretty fun fleet to be involved in. So that's the Sharpie Nationals. Right next to them is the International 14 World Championships at the Perth Dinghy Club. Starting today and finishing on the 10th of January.
Yeah, fantastic. The Wild West, they're calling it.
The Wild West, yeah. So that'll be a ton of fun. So they'll be full lean on them, the old 14s. They're a lot easier to handle these days with the 4s on the rudder. So they'll be able to push it pretty hard on the Doctor. Yep,
and our good friends from Down Under Sail will be covering as much as they can in this summer in Australia, and that's someone else we should be getting up. Harry Fisher to tell us about exactly what's going on.
Yep.
In SA, in Australia for that matter.
Yeah. And then the other event that starts today, I think the invitation race is today. We're recording this Sunday the 29th, is the RS Aero World Championship. So many of you will know that the RS Aero was recommended as the boat to replace the laser for the 24 Olympics. It was the preferred choice, but the member nations decided to stick with the laser. So it's a modern version of the laser. It weighs less than an Opti, the RS Aeros. Like when you go to move one in the boat park for the first time you ever do, it's dangerous because you pick it up assuming it's going to weigh about the same. You grab the dolly handle and give it the same sort of tug you would a laser, and next thing you know, you've got a boat flying across the boat park. It weighs nothing.
Yeah, right.
So they've got 80 boats, 5 metre, 7 metre and 9 metre divisions, and sailing out of Black Rock in Victoria. Invitation race today looks, I just saw some video from the boat park, and it looks like it'll be a nice sea breeze day. So it'll be good for the Victorians. You're in a wife beater singlet right now, so it's stinking hot in Adelaide, I'm guessing, which means tomorrow in Victoria.
She's going to start heating up over in Victoria.
Yeah, so I think they're going to get a pretty fresh nor'wester or something and 40-odd degrees.
Yep, and we can't be far off the lasers starting too in Sandy, right?
Yep. So there's a fair bit going on. If you're from the US and you don't know what 40 degrees is, we're not talking Fahrenheit, we're talking Celsius. So imagine about, I think it's about 110, 112 in Europe.
At least 250 for sure.
250
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Fahrenheit. That's it. It's full bore. All right, so we've done enough results. We've done the Hobart. That was the big event. So we're pretty much done. If anybody wants to contact us, Bryce, what would they do?
Best way to contact us is via Facebook, our Facebook page, Instagram, or the website. We will be creating our own email address, and that'll be happening in the new year for anyone who wants to get in contact that way. But Messenger is the best deal at this point in time.
Yeah, the problem is we don't want to have a standard email address where it's info or admin or something like that. We want something a bit funny, and we need to have a few beers to agree to it, don't we?
Yeah, well, it's either beers@barkarate.com, cheers@barkarate.com, or beers and cheers at barkarate.com.
I quite like cheers at bar. I reckon that's the one. I feel that one is the one. Last week I asked which sailing event is the oldest continuously conducted annual sailing regatta in the world. If that's a large mouthful, the oldest continuously conducted annual sailing regatta in the world. The answer to that is the Australia Day Regatta on Sydney Harbour. It's the oldest continuously conducted regatta. First happened in 1837.
Wowzers. The year after South Australia was, they started letting them in.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, are we travelling in January? We haven't agreed that yet, but we might not be doing the windsurfer challenge because we'll be travelling, I think.
I will pretty much guarantee you we will not be doing the windsurfer challenge. but that's the beauty of talking as much shit as we do. At some point in time, one of it will stick, and it, we're batting an average of 0 at the minute.
No, with the beer taste, we get those done pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this final quiz question, mate, you'll know why I've asked this one, because I just want to you just imagine everyone at the bar in Hobart. True or false, is it possible to lick your own elbow? That's the question this week. Is it possible? You know what's happening in all the bars as soon as people listen to it. All right, mate. Quick
Awesome,
one.
mate.
We're good. Good to speak to you.
Love your work.
All right.
Have a good day.
See you, everyone.